Greetings, Broniacs, and welcome to The Devil's Den, a podcast that focuses specifically on Leo Brawn, former homicide detective killed in a line of duty turned demon hunter. I'm your host, Stitch Mainville, and with me is your co-host, creator, writer, and producer of Leo Brawn, Mr. Jason Beard. Now, Jason and I will be breaking down each episode of Leo Brawn as we're joined by cast members who will give us their perspective as well. But first, we will be discussing the entire episode of Hangman Part 2. So if you haven't yet listened, stop here, go back, and listen to episode 6, and then come on back so we can continue. Okay, so now that you're all caught up, you might have some questions like, who's this motorcycle dude? And are punk rock chicks hot when they're possessed? And our most important question of all for this episode, do wimpy guys have a shot with strong, independent women? All this and more on this episode of The Devil's Den. All right, hello, our conversation is just beginning, and right now we say hello to our co-host, the creator of Leo Brawn, Jason Beard. Jason.
Hi, everybody. How's it going? Robert, Emily, Stitch, great to see you guys.
Hello.
He's a little more chipper this time.
Yeah.
Yes, episode 6, man.
Yes.
Things are really starting to chug along now here.
Yeah, sorry. Glasses are fogging up. Yeah, no, it's great. This is where, this was where things really start to heat up. So I'm so excited to talk about this episode.
Well, as always, we usually use this portion of the show to welcome some cast members. And on this episode, we have Emily Fry making a return appearance to The Devil's Den and newcomer Robert Lloyd. Folks, it's great to have you with us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Now, like I was saying earlier, Mitch was supposed to be here with us. He was scheduled to be here, but he's not feeling well. But Mitch, if you're listening, don't worry, buddy. We'll have you back on in the future. And Robert, this was your first episode of Leo Brawn, where you're credited as a stagehand for this episode. But without giving too much nuggets away, this isn't the last we'll be hearing from you, is it?
No, not at all. I really love doing this because my main job in life is I'm a musician. And when this came up and I was asked if I, could voice a stagehand, I'm like, oh my God, I've been around them my entire life. I just, several of them instantly popped into my brain. I'm like, that was a gimme there.
Now, you say you're a musician. What is that, like your full-time gig? Is that what you do? Just you play music?
Yes. I do a number of things. I write songs for films. I'm a blues artist. I use the name Possum Bobby. And I just play with various people who hire me. Mostly right now, I'm not touring a lot right now, although I've toured all over the country and all over Europe and everything. Right now, I'm just pretty much doing blues gigs in the United States here.
Possum Bobby sounds familiar, Jason.
Yes, it does. I wonder where we've heard that.
Without giving anything away.
Right. Right, exactly.
And Emily, thank you for making a return to The Devil's Den. I love that you're here with us for this one, because in part 1 of this episode, we got an idea who Laurie Stryker is, but we really get to know this character in episode 6.
Yeah, it was really nice kind of digging deep into those feelings of, loss and rebirth and everything. And it was great as an up-and-coming kind of actor to explore all those feelings all in one.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the review in Hangman Part 2, let's get to the last episode's trivia question, because we had a trivia question on the last episode, and that question was, Sebastian orders a cab to take him and Jillian to what establishment?
All right, where are we heading? Jump in Jehoshaphat's. Run the red light, please.
All right, Jason, you always have a reason for naming things a certain way. What was the reason for jumping Jehoshaphat's?
I get that was like a phrase I just always heard growing up, but then when I did some research, there was a Jehoshaphat that was somehow written in some demon written in one of the articles I read or something, and so liking that phrase, seeing the name, I was like, oh, perfect. It doesn't really have anything to do with coffee at all, but we'll make it work.
We have a fan message that came in over, and it comes from David Shumway in Chula Vista, California. He writes, I love the Leo Brawn series, and all your actors are phenomenal. They make me enjoy the story very much. I was wondering if you have any other podcasts like this one.
All right, David. Well, thank you very much for your question. So we're working on it. That is for sure. 2025, we will see at least 2 more audio dramas. Well, one will be more of like an action comedy. So next up will be the Topaz and Stillman, an 80s adventure. So it's sort of a spinoff of Leo Brawn with starring Terry Briscoe and Jim Franck. And that will, of course, be their characters, Willie Topaz and Maury Stillman, but in the 80s. So 1980s Hollywood. Willie's trying to make it as an actor. Maury's trying to make it as a manager. You'll see how they meet, and a lot of shenanigans and crazy things will ensue. It'll be a very different tone and theme than Leo Brawn. It'll be much more comedy and sort of like a crime caper, action-packed kind of thing. So we're just getting that going. Table reads are going to be starting soon. And then later in the year, we're going to do a paranormal investigation series called The Interior that will star Emily Fry and Stitch Mainville. And of course, we hope to have our cast of characters from Leo and Topaz and Stillman also join this series as well. But this one will take place in the 1940s. And that's all I'm going to say about it right now. But yeah, very, very excited to get that one started. In between, we'll have our Leo Brawn stories, our Leo Brawn vignettes. Who knows what may come out of the Topaz and Stillman, and then something that I sort of mentioned on social media recently. We're going to have something called the Shoestring TV Mystery Playhouse. And that's going to be it'll give our actors another way of performing in an audio medium. So I'm very excited about that. That'll probably be at the very end of the year.
Now, you mentioned Jim Franck and
Terry Briscoe.
Yeah, Terry. Are any other Leo Brawn actors going to be involved with that?
Yes. Well, I know Emily's going to play a part in the pilot episode, and Eric Carlino will have a role on the recurring role on the show. And then we have Mitch, who couldn't make it tonight. I know he'll have a part. And then we do have some new cast members that are familiar with Leo, familiar with the Microphone Insider, and express an interest in sort of joining the Shoestring TV team.
Nice.
But as the scripts are released, they'll always go out to anyone affiliated with Shoestring TV, so anybody can, take on any of the roles that are available, other than Willie Topaz and Maury Stillman.
Will Possum Bobby be supplying your soundtrack for the?
I mean, I could only be so lucky. It hasn't been discussed, but it's always, we would welcome that for sure.
Oh well, let me get that out there. That would be wonderful. That would be awesome.
Can you do the 80s thing? You got like keyboards and electronic drums you could use?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I just did a death metal song for a vampire movie, which is 1,000 degrees off of what I normally do. But it turned out, I'm good with that.
Nice.
Love that 80s thing, man.
Oh, yeah.
That was my era. Yeah. I love the 80s. I hid all my pictures of me in the 80s. So
we're all glad there were no camera phones then.
Yeah, no,
sometimes.
I looked like Duran on cocaine. It was horrible. Well, hey, let's get to our episode, huh? We start the episode off with a taste of a new character.
The Abominable Sands is now a barren, lifeless desert with a cracked, ash-blackened floor. The hush of this desolate wasteland is interrupted as the deep rumble of a motorcycle is heard approaching. From a distance, a vintage Harley-Davidson knucklehead races across the flattened land, leaving a trail of dust and sand in its wake. The rider is imposing. Helmed in a black cowboy hat, silver aviator sunglasses, garbed in a sleeveless military-style vest, and combat trousers. His darkened gray and muscled arms extend outwards as gloved hands grip the custom high handlebars. Although a veritable no-man's land, The Dark Rider, known only as the Marksman, disrupts the desolation as he decelerates, gliding to a halt. He removes his sunglasses to reveal eyes without iris or pupil. His face a complexion of black and grey, perhaps due to a life under such harsh conditions. He grimaces and looks over the improvised campgrounds.
Well, although we didn't hear the Marksman for this clip, Mitch is actually providing the voice of the Marksman. Jason, what was your inspiration behind bringing a Marksman or this type of character into the show?
Yeah, so as I've mentioned a few times, this first season especially is all based on some source material, some screenplays that I wrote many years ago in 2009, and the Marksman was always one of those characters. It's a love of those sort of dark, mysterious lone wolf type, dark assassin type characters. It's also my love of old westerns, the Clint Eastwood Man with No Name spaghetti western types. This someone who's tough as nails, doesn't say a lot, but he can handle himself and gets the job done. Someone who's masterful with a revolver, which is why I also sort of took inspiration from, I don't know if you're familiar with the book series The Dark Tower by Stephen King, but the main character of that is Roland Deschain, and so there were some similarities between that character and the Marksman, not so much in how the Marksman comes to be, which we don't know yet. We haven't heard that yet. But anyway, so that's really where the inspiration came from. I've always been drawn to those types of characters, and so this was an awesome opportunity to sort of introduce that into the Leo Brawn world.
No, we don't get a lot from the clip, but we looking at a good guy, bad guy.
He's that's kind of what I love is you don't really know, especially at this point. In fact, I mean, just sort of the reason the Marksman didn't speak in this episode was because we didn't have the cast member yet. We were taking auditions, but at the time I was so feverishly trying to keep momentum going. I was like, okay, we'll just do it. He'll remain silent and you won't really hear him. But it was really because we just didn't have the actor yet. And so that's why we won't really hear him until later on. But yeah, so he's just, I don't know. He's just, when I imagined him in the sort of this Western gear, but very dark, I think he can play both sides, good or bad, depending on what serves him, I think, in the end.
Well, as the episode continues, we find Willie Topaz, and he's given a tour of the ORA, and one of Willie's fans happens to be in the tour.
This is one of the most critical sections of the ORA. We call it the slab. This is where we use transmigration or reincarnation technology, which allows for our agents to transport to the homeland and free our subjects from illegal demonic possessions. Yes, is there a question?
Yes, Mr. Topaz, I'll start by saying I'm a big fan of your films, especially Brock Gatling, Man of 1,000 Bullets. The body count in that film, it's truly something to behold. So your agents lay in the cabinet there and then get whooshed off back to Earth? How does it know where to go?
Great question. Herman, is it? Well, Herman, as you can imagine, I use the term technology loosely here. This goes beyond just mere gadgets and gizmos. And I'm sure it's no surprise that here, where we all live, there are forces that would enter the realm of the fantastical.
Oh, that is interesting. So, in other words, only ORA agents can gain access and use the slab?
Precisely.
Yeah. God, he's so creepy.
He really is.
What's even creepier is Herman is asking all these questions about transmigration.
Yes. Yeah. It is a key fixation of Herman's that hasn't really played out yet, but he has an enormous fixation with the idea of transmigration or reincarnation, which essentially is how how the demon hunters are able to travel from hell back to Earth. So it does give you it's implied that Herman may have an interest to travel in such a way at some point. For what reason or what purpose, we don't know. But yeah, that's why he seems so interested. And I don't think he's really too concerned with being obvious about it. In fact, I think he kind of wants to be.
And it's also kind of creepy that he hits on this.
You know, I stood in line for hours, Willie.
Sorry?
Yes, you were to appear at an autograph signing, but you didn't show.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about that, Herman. Unfortunately, we'll have to continue.
It was July. Yes, July 18th, 1986.
Yeah,
kind of specific there,
Yeah, why would he know so much about that? Really creepy fan.
Creepy fan.
Yeah, this is so this was a seed that's planted into something that will bloom later in the series, but it was a way of Herman to sort of disarm Willie a little bit, and to show him that I'm not really afraid of an ORA agent or of this big obsidian building or anything like that. So I'm just going to throw this in your face that I know when you died, and I know that it was tragic. So what do you think of that? Basically. And Willie didn't like it. I think he does throw him out right after that. So
yeah,
Eric as Herman really brings a sense of creepiness to the character, but also to the show. I mean, it's got that sinister villain, and that's who he brings about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I mean, I don't know where he pulled it from. I mean, the various influences that culminated in bringing this character to life, but it's certainly it surpasses anything I could have ever expected for that character of Herman. So I'm always excited when we get to listen to Eric do another performance.
I have a question. I've always kind of wondered this, with the specific detail of, and this might be jumping ahead to like later episodes, with the specific detail of his death date and Willie Topaz knowing like who he is, his like name, maybe not his history. Does he like kind of have an idea about maybe who this person was like back in when he was alive?
Right. Yeah. There's an episode later on. I know I'm always the spoiler, but there is an episode later on where he does have this revelation about it. At first, in this meeting, in this exchange, it hasn't dawned on him yet. But there will be a moment when he sort of puts it all together. That I know now. I know the connection to this guy and my death, and yeah, I guess that's all I can say. But yeah, we will definitely explore it for sure.
Well, everybody who's in, like Leo Brawn and Jillian and Willie, they kind of have only pieces of their memories, right? They don't really remember everything from right around the time of their death.
Exactly.
And I'm wondering if that little interaction with Herman sort of maybe triggered to kind of spark things up. Because if you think about it, Leo didn't really have much of a memory as far as how he died until he spoke to Herman at orientation, and things start clicking a little bit for him.
Yep, exactly. And same for, I think even in the orientation episode, Jillian is just like everything's blank. I don't remember any of it. And so it all returns in bits and pieces as they live their new life in hell, basically. But all comes at different times and in different ways.
Well, the tour becomes interrupted by an alarm, and Willie finds out that there was a murder in one of the cells. And he cuts the tour short, and he goes to meet Captain Manga in the holding area.
Willie, point your light over there.
Is that blood?
Yes, it is. Lots of it.
The captain pulls the demon's shirt up, exposing its torso. Carved into the creature's chest is a crude circle. In the middle of the circle is another carving.
The number 11. What does that mean?
I don't know, Willie. Can you question the neighbors? Need to see if anyone saw anything. They're gonna say no, so press them hard.
Will do.
The captain retrieves a flashlight from her pocket. In the demon's left palm lay a shard of filed glass.
Hi, Cap. Got bupkis from downstairs. No one saw nothing.
Thanks, Willie. Worth a shot. Nothing on security footage either. Oh, message from dispatch. Okay, game time. Leo and June are back on target.
All right, well, before we get to Leo and June being in Massachusetts, the demon's hand had a shard of glass. Is this to suggest that maybe the demon did himself in?
Yeah, I think it's framed to look that way. I don't think it's really fooling Willie or Captain Maggot, but it was framed to look like perhaps this demon offed himself. For what reason, we don't know, but in the previous episodes, we know that one was recently brought in who was basically the one that possessed Philip Weston. That's where the show opens, when Leo's hunting the demon that possessed Philip Weston, and that turns out to be a really low-level demon, sort of faking it as a descendant of a Maimon, when in turn he's really just sort of this low-level demon, doesn't have the juice really, and but he's been incarcerated, and so we don't in listening to this episode, I've often thought, well, I never explicitly say that it's Chort, which was we find out is the name of the demon, but that's essentially what happened, is that this demon sort of failed at this possession, and then he's put into this prison, and then he appears to have killed himself.
When we get back to Massachusetts, Laurie Stryker gets a visit from a local priest, Father Marwood, who's also voiced by Mitch, who's checking in on Laurie at the request of her manager, Maury Stillman.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Hello, Miss Stryker. I'm Father Marwood.
You're a priest?
Yes, Reverend of the Chapel of the Holy King of Central Boston.
You seem young to be a priest.
I can understand that. My mother, rest her soul, would have said I was born to be one.
Okay. Sorry, Father...
Marwood.
Okay. Why are you here?
Your manager, Mr. Maury Stillman, was concerned. He said you had missed another appointment, that you had a confrontation the other day, and, well, may I come in? It's probably best we speak in private. You have pets, Miss Stryker?
I did. Why?
Whew, I am highly allergic. Oh, I'm sorry if I've said something to upset you.
My cat, he passed away recently.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I've always been envious of those who can befriend our animal counterparts. It just wasn't in God's plan for me, I guess.
Father Marwood, if we could just get to the reason for your visit. I'm not feeling well, and...
Well, that's it, Miss Stryker. Your manager, Mr. Stillman, was concerned for your well-being. He had stated you were quite distressed the other day, and that a disagreement between the two of you became violent. He also said,
let's not pretend he cared about me. He's just looking out for his investment.
His explanation of your previous visit gave him great pause, as it did for me as well.
Because I held him against a wall?
No. Mr. Stillman believes that you may have been acting against your will, that there were other influences at play.
Influences? Like drugs?
No, that it wasn't you, that you may be under the spell of unclean spirits.
You can stop. You're not saying anything to me.
Miss Stryker, whatever forces are at work here, it's important
Father
that
Marwood, is this why you're here? Like some friendly neighborhood exorcist?
Miss Stryker, please, if I could just...
Father Marwood, I'd like you to leave.
May I, at the very least, arrange for a physician to...
Please, get out!
I will leave you with this. Be watchful, Miss Stryker.
Try this one, Father. Music is my religion. Jimi Hendrix.
Emily, I can almost feel the disdain that Laurie has for this visit. I'm serious. Which I'm guessing is based on the demon that's possessing her.
Well, you want to take it, Emily? Well, I have a question, because I do have a question, because I love the way you played this, because I really get the sense when I'm hearing Laurie in this scene, because I think an actor could have had the tendency to sort of overplay the annoyance or whatever, but the fact that you can really tell that Laurie's really been through something, like just previously, the loss of her cat and all of the horrible things that she's had to go through. So there's almost like you've been like sort of zapped almost, you're just like, I don't want to deal with anything else. So can you just get out of here, please? So is that kind of what you were thinking when you did it?
Yeah. So I actually grew up religious. I come from a religious family. Once I went to college, I kind of started deviating from the religious path, and my family wasn't a fan of that. So I kind of took from just listening to the religious spiels and just like, all right, I'm over it. Like, can we just move on to something different? And I felt like using that tone with the fact that I'm upset that I lost my dear beloved Ollie, and just kind of started snowballing with that. Just, I'm over this. I want to be alone. I want to cope by myself.
Yeah. And then also, that's awesome. And that you were able to use all of that. And then Stitch, to your question, I think I'm sure it's all of those things that we just discussed. It's also because of, I think, the way Mitch played it. Because I told him, it's like, I want there to be this tone where you're sort of, you're sort of smarmy. It's like, yes, you're this priest, but there's something about you that's just off-putting, like, hey, oh, did you have pets? And then he's like, oh, because I'm super allergic. Can you, like, he's not really concerned.
I grew up Catholic, and I was an altar boy for like 7 years. And when I was listening to Mitch, I'm thinking, oh my God, that's Father Wardren. He sounds just like Father Wardren.
Wow. That's amazing.
I was bringing my Catholic days back, and I was like, oh, yeah. I'm so glad I played it like that.
Yeah, I mean, the exciting thing about all of this, I mean, and what was really introduced here was all, was new stuff. Of course, it's new to everybody that's listening, but these were new storylines, not written into the old material all those years ago. So it just occurred to me that even though we focus so much on what's happening in hell, or when the demon hunters come to Earth, well, what's happening on Earth? How are they reacting to these new forces at play that are coming to, exorcise demons? What would the Catholic Church think about that? What would a priest think about that? What would a victim of that think about that? So it was what I've been calling sort of the earthbound story arc. That's sort of a whole other subplot within this series, and this was really where it kicks off, was everything starting with Laurie and then introducing Father Marwood and his trajectory. So this is really just added a whole new level of depth that I hadn't originally conceived at all.
Well, Father Marwood was obviously less than successful in helping Laurie or finding out why she was violent with Maury. And he leaves Laurie's apartment just as Leo pulls up to the apartment building in a taxi cab.
June Chesterfield and Leo Brawn are in a taxi cab as it drives steadily through Seaport Boulevard.
You two are in luck. Normally it's bumper to bumper here, but it should only be about 20 minutes before we reach the bricks.
We'll take all the luck we can get.
Hey, where you from?
The demon hunters look at each other. Although unspoken, it's decided June should do the talking.
Oh, we're from the South.
The South, huh? Like cattle ranchers or something?
Yes, exactly. Cattle ranchers.
June looks at Leo and shrugs as the cab driver turns up the radio.
Nice cover. How do we pay?
Don't worry about that. When it's time, the very handy Bank of Dante will make a deposit.
Leo,
Just let me say, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just let me say, I love the song that was on the radio in the cab.
Absolutely.
I really like that song.
Yeah. I was trying to. We had just spoken about agreeing to have the song play in an episode, and I was like, "Oh, well, this would be perfect. Instead of me looking for some generic thing, we have like a real song. I'll just have it playing in the background." And also, I think we were going to have it in an Easter egg later, but who was this canary cab driver that we were listening to? I wonder.
I'm not really sure. I couldn't tell you. I grew up in New York, and I had to go to broadcasting school. All my family, everybody, they were like water and quarter. They had the hardcore New York accent, and I went to broadcast school to get rid of that. So when I heard the taxi driver, I was like, I think I can do that, and I have a horrible Northeastern accent.
I loved it, man. I was glad because I know you had been wanting to do take on some other things, and Leo is so just you can't mistake who that is, so that you were able to pull it off and actually sound like someone other than Leo was. That was
awesome. One of my concerns. Like when you first mentioned to me the Marksman, you wanted me to try to do the Marksman.
Yeah.
I was afraid that people would hear, like, if there was a conversation between the Marksman and Leo, it would just sound like Leo talking to himself the whole time. So I was like, I don't think I should do this. You might want to find someone else to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But and that's another reason. I think I've said this before. That's another reason I really don't do too many other voices, because I don't want to take away from the character you've built with Leo Brawn.
Yeah, no. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's literally in every episode, so it'd be so easy to catch. Wait a minute. Why is Leo talking to himself? Why does he sound that way?
Well, unbeknownst to Leo in June, Father Marwood, he's sitting on a bench, and he's kind of watching these two people with a briefcase get out of a cab. But Leo makes his way into the apartment building, and he heads up to Laurie's apartment up on the 12th floor.
The elevator car begins its ascension with a slight jolt. The electronic display begins the countdown, indicating each floor that the elevator car has reached. As the elevator reaches the 7th floor, the power goes out.
What the hell? Come on. Don't have time for this shit. Come on.
Leo engages the emergency intercom.
Hello. This is Leonard Barnman. I'm stuck in an elevator. The power's out. Hello? Am I reaching anyone? Nothing.
The elevator car begins to rumble. There is a chilling hum that seeps into the elevator car. And then Leo hears it. The sound of a cat.
What the hell? Is someone there?
The growling cat becomes more aggressive, filling the elevator car with threatening sounds of a very angry feline. Leo begins to hear something crawling on top of the elevator car.
What the fuck is going on?
Leo takes a swipe at the ceiling, hitting it with force. There's another sound that accompanies the growling, a mischievous laugh. Before Leo can process the eerie cacophony saturating the elevator car, the power returns. The malicious noises stop, and the car begins the ascent once again.
Guess I'm more of a dog person.
Yeah, I actually am, but it's obvious that something is working against Leo and doesn't want him to make it up to Laurie's place. And I love that you used Ollie and brought him back just to kind of keep Leo away.
Yeah, I mean, I felt bad for the way I wrote him out of the show, so I was like, I got to figure out a way to bring him back. He'll plummet to his death, but he'll return.
I'm pretty sad about that. I have to. I really.
Oh yeah.
I took that pretty hard when it happened.
Yeah. I had a hard time writing it. I remember feeling kind of like queasy afterwards. I was like, I can't believe I wrote this. I'm like killing this poor cat that didn't do anything wrong. But yeah. So as the scene is playing out right now, it seems very clear that as part of this demonic possession, Ollie's lifeless corpse is being used to try and scare Leo away.
I gotta say this. it didn't play in the clip, but as Leo's walking up to the Bricks apartment building, there's a taped off section with a red stain on the sidewalk.
That's what I'm saying. That's when it hit. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I want to know what police force came and taped it off to do an investigation. That's
Laurie just forced them up against the wall and said, "You're going to do this."
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. I wanted Leo to see that. Well, something strange happened here. I'm pretty sure that's blood. Anyway, I've got a demon now. No, we just move on from it.
Well, once Leo reaches Laurie's apartment, he's surprised to find Laurie kind of floating around in the middle of her apartment.
Leo's briefcase vibrates. He places the briefcase flat on the apartment floor and kneels down to open it. But before he can, something bumps into his shoulder.
Holy shit.
Laurie Stryker is hovering above the floor, floating slowly and steadily from the living room to the hallway towards the bedroom. Her eyes have rolled back into her head, and her face is turned upwards towards the ceiling. Her mouth is agape and she emits a droning moan.
Laurie, can you hear me? I'm here to help you.
Leo tries to grab her and pull her away from the invisible force that's carrying her across the apartment, but the hold is too great. He begins getting dragged across the apartment floor. Releasing his grip, he returns to the briefcase. By this time, Laurie has reached the end of the hallway and slowly turns to make a floating crawl back towards Leo. Her face is quivering as if she's having a seizure. The floor of the apartment seems to shudder beneath him. Opening the briefcase, Leo finds a small card inside. He retrieves the card and flips it over to read the message.
Oh no, this demon is chipped?
But before Leo can act, Laurie's eyeless gaze turns straight ahead towards him. The leisurely but frightening floating turns on a dime and Laurie Stryker is thrust towards Leo. The possessed woman tackles Leo, pinning him to the floor. Her eyes spin forward and her pupils are noticeable again. Behind them, something dark stirs. Leo sees it. Laurie is seething. Foam building at the corners of her mouth, grabbing wildly at him. He tries to reach for the small card which he dropped during the attack. Laurie's possessed body forces her to restrain Leo's hand. He stretches to reach for the card and is able to barely secure it between his middle and forefingers. He turns the face of the card so he can read a strange limerick imprinted on the card while Laurie is screaming and thrashing.
Oh, you've got to be shitting me. All right, here goes. I'm speaking to the demon that has possessed Laurie Stryker. Marvin merely maximizes his magnificent masculinity.
After reciting the ridiculous limerick, nothing happens. The less than reliable reputation of the HCC chips appears to remain intact.
Ah, piece of shit.
Leo tosses the card, and as Leo is about to take more drastic measures, the thrashing and screaming cease. Laurie is removed from Leo and floats upward again. Her body begins to shake. The apartment rattles. Without warning, there is a sonic explosion that goes off in the apartment. Furniture is sent flying. The glass doors of the balcony shatter. Laurie collapses to the floor.
Holy shit, it actually worked.
Emily, the last time you spoke with us, you talked about using a scream blanket. Was this one of those times?
Yeah. So I got down on my floor and I used my boyfriend's gaming chair and my gaming chair, and I just created like a fort over it, and I took my poor dog's beloved lamb chop toy that's like giant, and I pretended that it was Leo. And I just beat the shit out of it the whole time.
I have a quick question for Emily. I don't know if you've ever considered a career in being a death metal singer, but that might work for you.
Thanks. Sometimes I feel like Laurie's voice. Thanks. Sometimes I feel like Laurie's voice is so high pitched. I just feel like her voice is sometimes so high pitched. I'm just like, I gotta remember she's a punk rock singer. She shouldn't be sounding like this.
Well, hey, Marvin merrily maximizes his magnificent masculinity. If that HCC chip didn't work, was Leo going to have to punch Laurie in the face?
I'll admit it never occurred to me that he would do that, but anything's possible. I mean, he's punched a kid.
Yeah.
He's punched cats. He's punched just about everything so far, so it's possible.
Well, Leo was able to activate the HCC and relieve Laurie of her possessed demon.
Got a drink.
Who are you?
I'm a friend. I'm here to help. I don't know how to ask you this, but are you yourself?
Yes, I don't feel it anymore. Who are you? Did Father Marwood send you?
No, nothing like that. I'm from a place that helps people like you. Beyond that, I don't think I can say anything else.
What the hell is that?
I have to go. I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you. Whoever you are. Thank you.
My pleasure, Miss Stryker.
So, Leo's assaulted by a demon kitty. He gets to roll around on the floor with a hot, young, possessed punk rock girl. And he blows up her apartment, and then makes it safely back to the ORA.
Yeah, that was exactly how I thought of it. He gets to roll around with this hot punk rock girl. That was how I wrote it. Yeah, that should be the end of the story, right? But it's not.
No.
There's more to come.
Congrats, Bubba. You did it.
Captain F.J. Mangut and June applaud Leo on a successful first case. The captain presents Leo with his first official ORA coffee mug.
On behalf of myself, the Homeland, and the City of Dante, I present to you, Obsidian Recovery Agent Leo Brawn, your first welcome to the ORA coffee mug. Congrats, Leo. Well done.
Speech!
June quickly grabs Leo's mug and pours from her flask.
Thank you. Oh, Jesus, what is that?
Chesterfield hooch, family recipe. That'll put hair on your chest.
Oh, my God, will it? But, I'm still waiting for my ORA coffee mug. I'm going to settle for this Pittsburgh Pirates mug instead.
Can I just say this real quick? It's like as you had mentioned, this is where I became involved, right, in this episode. And so when I'm hearing it back for the first time, there was so much going on in my brain and everything, but I was like, okay, so this guy just went through all this psychotic, crazy, surreal stuff, and he's rewarded with a coffee mug.
Exactly.
I love it so much.
It's about as good as it gets,
man. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole thing.
It's really funny.
Oh my God, that was so great.
Oh man.
Well, back in Massachusetts, Laurie returns to her manager, Maury Stillman's office.
Hey, Maury. Is this a bad time?
Oh, Laurie, I wasn't expecting you.
I wanted to apologize again for the other day, and I wanted to thank you.
Thank me? Thank me for what? Oh, Father Marwood. Was he able to help?
Well, no, it wasn't him. It was the other guy.
Other guy? Sorry, Laurie. Maybe the Reverend called in a favor, but I had only spoken to Father Marwood about our situation.
Oh, okay. So what's happening here?
Oh, just doing some organizing. My secretary was saying I was becoming a bit of a hoarder.
Looks more like a clean sweep.
Right. Oh, hey, tomorrow night, I have you booked at the grand opening of a new nightclub, the Moon Dial. No boomers, no brats' birthdays, a real gig. Can you, can I count on you to be there?
We'll be there. I could use the money. I'm gonna have to find a new place to live.
This could be just the type of payday I need, that we need. No, that doesn't go there. Oh, hey, excuse me for a second, Laurie.
So, Maury's kind of a scumbag.
Yeah, this version of Maury is a total scumbag. He's just selfish. and he's really just looking out for himself. And I think
what we like to call a prototypical band manager.
Yeah,
that's the norm more than the exception. Just so you all know.
Okay, good. I didn't know that, but it seemed right when I was writing it. So good. I'm glad that it's sort of real. It's,
nailed it.
It's based on. Yeah. So that's the idea here is that all we know about Maury right now is he's just really slimy, sketchy guy, and he doesn't really have any interest in helping anyone but himself. So he's gonna basically take this money and run once he gets a chance.
And he went for some free help too with the church.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, just see what you can do.
Well, back with Leo, he gets a message from his captain about having to meet up with Sebastian.
Oh, Leo, a message came in for you from your caseworker, Sebastian. Wanted to see you as soon as you came back.
So Leo goes over to meet him, and he learns a little bit more about Sebastian, his caseworker.
Oh, Leo, you got my message.
Yeah, Captain Mangut said you wanted to discuss something with me. I assumed it was about my file.
Yes, I do, but not here. I know how this is going to sound, but you weren't followed, were you?
Followed? No, I don't think so. Why?
Okay, well, look, it may be nothing, but meet me tomorrow at the old fish pond. It's out of the city and far away from prying eyes. Do you know it?
I actually do. I met Max there.
Max? Can he be trusted?
Trusted? Think so. What's this all about?
Hi, Leo.
Jillian? Oh. Hi.
What Sebastian is trying to explain is that he uncovered some discrepancies with your report, but he believes it wasn't meant to be found. We think he may have been followed leaving the administration building yesterday. He wants to share with you what he's found in a safe place. So tomorrow at the pond, sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
Perfect. Good night.
Good night, Jillian.
So, Leo, tomorrow at the pond? And, as for this development?
You mean you and Jillian?
Yes. As for that?
It's no one's business, least of all mine. I guess I should say I'm happy for you, for what it's worth.
Yes, well, she is really amazing. I could listen to her talk about her life back home for hours. Better than any spy novel I ever read.
Say goodnight, Sebastian.
Right. Good night, Leo.
Good night, Sebastian.
Okay.
Scandalous.
Yeah.
So scandalous.
Office fraternization. Actually, we got a Facebook message on this from Shanique in Pittsburgh. And Shanique writes, I like the character Jillian. She portrays a strong, independent woman. So why is she in a relationship with Sebastian? That guy seems kind of wimpy.
That had crossed my mind.
She's not wrong. Thank you, Shanique, for the question. It's this opposite attracts kind of thing. So, and I think Jillian, although she is very strong, independent, we have not really learned much about her background yet. I was almost going to spoil something, but next episode, I believe. But she's completely capable of handling herself. But she is, I think, more than any character so far, the most outspoken in not trusting what's happening in this new transformation that everybody is participating in. So the idea was that, excuse me, Sebastian is like the first person that she would meet at being an onboarder, and they just, when they have this when they bump into each other, when Sebastian starts to investigate the death details, Leo's death details report, and some of the mysteries surrounding it, they just form this bond. And so you can just sort of infer that since that time, they've gotten very close.
Oh, yes.
If you know what I mean.
Say goodnight, Sebastian.
Oh, that's got to be an episode. Write that down. That needs to be a title of an episode. Say goodnight, Sebastian.
I'm just curious for myself. Are there any other relationship couplings that may spring about in the future of Leo Brawn?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
Like Captain Mangut and
Gorm. So they don't know Gorm yet. Sorry.
I would love that so much.
I have thought of that, actually. It would be an interesting dynamic there. We'll see. But yeah, there will be some.
I could see together in my head, I could see together Felix the Barkeep and June Chesterfield. That would be a good make.
What do you think about that, Robert?
I'm in.
Okay, there we go.
That gets a 2 thumbs up.
Start selling the Chesterfield hooch.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
We go to Laurie's band, the Hack Sisters. They get their gig, and while they're playing, Laurie's paid another visit.
As the band reaches the second chorus, Laurie observes that the lighting in the club has started to dim, and the music is becoming difficult to hear. She taps on her earpiece, indicating potential technical issues, but her bandmates and those backstage seem unaware. The screeching guitars and driving beat are drowned out, replaced with the sound of a cat growling and hissing. And soon, to Laurie's horror, amongst the growls and hisses, Ollie's back from the dead, mutilated body emerges. An aisle suddenly becomes a glowing blood-red light. Laurie makes eye contact with the mangled feline, who only stares back, a sinister red shine behind his lifeless eyes. The mutilated back from the dead body of her beloved cat, Ollie, is backlit by that red glow. The light and sound return to normal in an instant. She's still on stage performing to a rollicking crowd. The audience cheers, believing her outburst to be part of the performance. Her bandmates look confused, but play along.
So I'm watching all of us, and we're all of us when the music kicks up, we're all rocking our heads.
Yeah,
That's such a bop. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question about that. Joe Hazen writes into our Facebook, and he's from Albany, New York, and he asks about the soundtrack for Leo Brawn. He says, you have some good music, like that punk girl band. Who's the real band, and how can I find their music?
Oh, I love that question. Well, Joe, I am sorry to say it's not a real band. It is truly a hack. So, my daughter is a musician and singer, and so she actually kind of helped lend her voice, although heavily produced and changed, because she does more Billie Eilish type stuff. But anyway, so she helped with that, and then we just did an amalgamation of different. She kind of helped me like pick different pieces of music, and we sort of meshed it into this rock song. I did write the lyrics for it, and then we just sort of, we made it work. She really helped me with that. So it's not a band. I love that it worked out as well as it did, but it's not.
It sounds
not
great.
something you can go. Yeah, it turned out really good, but it's not something you can find anywhere, unfortunately.
Make it a whole song and put it on somewhere you could download or whatever, because apparently Joe and we all liked it. We were all bobbing our heads to it.
I was waiting for that moment when it hits right after she's like, will it ever end? I love that part.
And now that was going to be the next question to Emily, because she proclaimed something, and yet as I'm listening, I could never make out. I thought she was saying something about, I thought you were dead, and I was going to ask, what was it that you said?
Yeah.
Will this ever end?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it was the idea that, and this was kind of my favorite part was, all right, the possession is over, that's done, but Ollie, is still here. So what does that mean? And that was the whole, and I love that idea. It's like, I want to play within certain rules, but I also want to sort of circumvent that a little bit and say like, okay, so there's still some unknown something happening. Leo was successful in eliminating the demon possession, and so Laurie has returned to normal, but Ollie, this undead cat, is still haunting her, and why and how. So that was kind of the point of it. So when she's screaming that, it's like, I thought it was over. It's not. I'm in the middle of a performance. I'm still being haunted by this cat.
Well, after Laurie's gig, she goes to find Maury. It's weird saying Laurie and Maury, and realizes that he's about to skip town with her money.
She locates some stagehands packing up equipment.
Have either of you seen Laurie Stillman?
I think he was in the green room talking to the owner.
Thanks.
Laurie makes her way to the green room. Before she arrives, she notices the owner of the club's door is cracked open. She peeks in and sees Cash exchanging hands between Maury and the owner. Maury shakes the owner's hand and then promptly walks towards the door. Laurie ducks behind a doorway, out of view. Laurie turns down a hall, carrying a large duffel bag, unaware that Laurie is spying on him. Laurie pursues him as he makes his way towards the club exit. He stops, turns to the men's room, considers leaving, but ultimately decides to relieve himself first. He opens the bathroom door with the duffel bag in tow and enters, slamming the door behind him. For a brief moment, Ollie the dead cat crosses through the hallway. Laurie grimaces in fear. Laurie begins to fear there is no way out, and decides escape could be her best option. Leave all this behind and start fresh, somewhere else, far away from the Bricks apartment, from her sleazy manager and her dead cat. Laurie moves towards the bathroom door, then stops, takes hold of the doorknob and slowly turns it. The door cracks and she can see that Maury is still indisposed. The duffel bag is on the bathroom sink. While her manager is indisposed, she grabs the duffel bag and makes a break for the club exit. Maury is alerted to the theft and swiftly zips up.
Come back here, you crazy bitch!
Laurie flees, darting through a back alley, hopping a chain link fence, and then quickly sprinting down the street. The heavy duffel bag is jostling against her.
Laurie, stop!
She turns towards Maury, assuming he's right behind her, but instead she sees an incoming pickup truck firing down on her. The headlights are blinding.
Oh no.
Wow. Well, it would seem that Laurie doesn't get away with her own money.
No, she was flattened.
So the scumbag wins.
Yeah,
again.
In this case he does. Yeah, right. Bastard.
I just hope maybe one of these days Maury just finds himself in hell with his previous people.
With a bunch of banned people.
Yeah.
And then Laurie tells, the one and only Willie Topaz what kind of a dick he was. And maybe
Oh yeah.
friends.
I think he's gonna get some comeuppance at some point.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, we learned through narration that Father Marwood saw something he shouldn't have been seeing. In his personal quarters, he removes his phone from his mattress, and he kneels down at the side of his bed. He looks like he's praying, but instead of praying, he's actually scrolling through images of Leo Brawn with a briefcase entering the Bricks apartment building. And he also has a video of Laurie's 12th floor apartment building exploding windows. Jason, another mystery, perhaps?
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is where the Earthbound arc is really starting to take off, and it's like, as careful as the ORA has been up to this point, now they've actually got some documented proof that there's something strange going on with these men and women with briefcases. So this is the first sort of nugget that they were caught. They were sort of caught in the act. Even though they're doing something good, they're caught in the act. So it's not as secret as they had hoped it would be.
Right. Well, Sebastian starts another day at work, and he gets to work and he starts to debrief his latest arrival.
Sebastian enters the onboarding station of the Dante branch without incident. He greets a few of his fellow co-workers and then approaches the onboarding room to begin his first case of the day. There is a wall-mounted file holder next to the door. He reads over the file and then enters the eggshell-colored room, places his binder down on the plastic desk, and sits. The latest arrival sits across from him, disorientated and frightened.
Where am I?
I assure you, we will get to that. I will try to answer any questions you may have. Any memory loss or disorientation will soon subside. If you can do me a favor, state your name, please.
My name? It's Laurie. Laurie Stryker.
Bum, bum, bum.
Love cliffhangers.
Yeah, me too.
Laurie died.
No.
Now, you were saying in a previous episode how you really never had a character in the original screenplay that you wrote for Laurie Stryker. What made you want to bring her into this, not just from Earthbound, but into Hell as well?
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting because we've never, up to this point, we've never really seen that path take place. We catch Leo where he's already in the midst of having died. He's already in hell. We do some flashbacks, of course, but we'd never seen somebody sort of in real time or in the present, be involved in, being a victim of a demon possession and then, surviving that, but then succumbing to something else. And because she had committed a deadly sin, her only choice then was to go to hell. So it was just a way of sort of showing that whole path from beginning to end. And of course also was somebody, and then I just love the idea that, so you're going to have this punk rocker who dies and then she's going to get to hell and she's going to want to get retribution, okay, it's like, okay, so you these demons ruined my life. I'm ready to hunt every single one of them and, get some payback essentially. So that's why she's so tough and like raring to go half the time when she's on these demon hunts.
Which makes for another great upcoming episode that we'll talk about soon.
Oh, yes, very much so, yeah.
But this isn't the end of, this was the end of this hunt, but it's not the end of their story.
Oh, no. No, not at all. You mean for Laurie?
Right. Well, yeah. As Leo Brawn moves forward, it's not Laurie's. There's a whole lot more of Laurie that we're going to get to learn about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so much more to come, like things we haven't even touched on yet. So, I realize I am spoiling things, but yes, there's a lot more for Laurie.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Now, before we close out an episode, I want to give the trivia question for our next one here. And the trivia question is, what is the name of the desert where we first meet the Marksman? And we'll have the answer to that on our next episode. Hey, Jason, as always, it's been a pleasure, man. We thank you for bringing us this amazing story. Do you have any final thoughts or comments about something we might have skipped over?
One thing that we touch on here, I think it's when Leo and this episode, Leo and June are on the ferry, and it's the first time where you sort of hear a different side of June. You hear about her tragic end and how she wound up in hell, how she became a demon hunter. And so Melrose Johnson, who portrays June, did an excellent job. It was a really great sort of emotional side to June Chesterfield's character. And like Emily has often had to do, there's some screams of, pain that Melrose really did. There's some really amazing things. In a way, you can sort of hear it in the episode, but it has been tampered down with some effects and echo and reverb and all this kind of stuff. But man, the raw audio is so powerful. I almost wanted to keep it that way, but it was almost too much. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. But it's an amazing performance, and I think it also helps Leo and June sort of bond a little bit more because she's sharing something sort of personal about herself, her own death, and about also the death of her son. So it was a touching episode as well as having all these other.
That was something I really wanted to play a clip, but I mean, I didn't feel a clip would do it justice because it's such a long monologue, the exchange between her and Leo, and I just thought clipping it would be just, I mean, listen to the episode and you get the full effect of it. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, we touched on the we touched on everything else. I had some other notes that I was going to bring up, but we talked about Robert's band Possum Bobby playing on the radio in the cab, and we talked about the fact that Stitchy played the cab driver, so I think that covers it.
I didn't even know you played the cab driver, to be honest.
We take a trip to Indianapolis to go see my grandkids, and as we're driving out there, we listen to the Leo Brawn, and my wife likes to catch up on the episodes, and she's listening, and she looks at me, she goes, "Oh my God, that was you, wasn't it?" I was like, "Shit, I thought I hit it." Hey, Robert,
I love those little things.
This was your first episode with Leo Brawn. What was your take on this episode?
You know, it was really a surprise. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I think I spoke with Andy first, and somehow that's how I wound up with all this, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, that sounds exciting and everything. And I read the script and did my stuff, and I heard the episode back, and I'm like, man, this is like intense. I'm like, whoa, I was amazed at how good the writing was and the acting by everybody and how well it was produced and everything. And it's amazing that when it's done this well, I mean, you can very clearly picture it all in your mind. You know, I have to tell you something that's just hilarious. So I have all these people that come to my shows and everything, and I posted up about being involved in Leo Brawn, and many people have went to check it out. And I know they did for sure because they discuss it with me. But initially people are like, well, what's it about? And I'm like, you really need to listen to it. They're like, what's it about? I'm like, okay, well, there's these people in hell, okay, and there's this punk rock chick, and she's got a cat, and and I'm like, these dudes have these briefcases, you know, they're like, what? I'm like, see, you have to go listen, you know.
This is why you have to listen.
Yeah, I just love it. I mean, I just find it so fun. I'm so happy to be a part of it, but it's just so fun being involved in it. I just think it's great, you know. I really do.
Well, we're looking forward to more of your future character coming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Emily, you really add depth to the character of Laurie. I enjoy you in this episode. Do you have any final thoughts for this specific episode of Leo Brawn?
This was so... It was so sad just to be haunted by your dead cat. And I honestly thought, like, maybe Ollie was, like, Laurie's protector and, I don't know, something from the great beyond. I never even thought of it being, like, a final, I'm gonna mess with you from the demon. I, like, never even thought of it that way. For some reason, I just thought it was like a protector.
Yeah, in a way, you're sort of right. I think that, like, when you're getting ready to steal the money and Ollie sort of runs in front of you, that is, we don't really touch on it that much, but it was more of a, like, warning, like, hey, don't do this, versus I am trying to scare you again. There may be reasons for that later, but so. Your take on it was correct. At the very end there, it's not a haunting as much as it is like maybe trying to steer you away from your fate, essentially.
That was so good. Oh my God, that was so good.
Such great cliffhanger.
Well, hey, Emily and Robert, on behalf of Jason and myself, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really had a great time with you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
I enjoy this.
And to all our listeners, thank you for being such awesome fans of Leo Brawn and listening to The Devil's Den with me, Jason, and our guest, the lovely Emily Fry, a.k.a. Laurie Stryker, and our personal house band member, Mr. Robert Lloyd. And don't forget to find us on Facebook. for all your Leo Brawn updates, as well as patreon.com, where you can sign up to be an ORA member and get exclusive Leo Brawn content. And if you haven't already, search for The Devil's Den on Facebook to get your update on each episode of The Devil's Den, as well as leave us questions. You never know, we might just read yours on an upcoming episode. Hey, Jason, I look forward to having you return for our next episode of The Devil's Den as we review Leo Brawn Episode 7, Come Hell or High Water, with returning guests Jim Frank and Tabitha Nixon. Don't miss it. Hey, thanks again, guys, and take care, Brawniacs.
The characters and events depicted in this podcast are fictional. Any similarity to any actual persons, living or dead, or to actual events, firms, places, and institutions, or other entities is coincidental and unintentional. This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Its unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability and criminal prosecution. Country of first publication, the United States of America. Leo Brawn, copyright 2024, Shoestring TV. Leo Brawn and all related characters are trademark and copyright of Shoestring TV. All rights reserved.